The Sisters of Dorley by Alyson Greaves. Read by Robin Nolan. Chapter 8, Midday on Mercury. 2019, October 16th, Wednesday. I did it. I came out to Christine. And to her friend, Abby, actually. Abby, who knows Melissa. Which is weird and circular, but I guess thinking about it, there are only 8 of us down here, and if it's similar numbers in previous years, and they all stay in touch, and the chance of interacting with someone new doesn't... Stefan irritably hits delete and starts again. I want to be a girl. I've never written that down before. Barely even thought it. And I know I should be more thinking like I am a girl, but I don't know how I can do that unless I've actually tried it. That's not how I've seen other trans women, describe their experiences, but maybe there's different ways to be trans. Or I'm just less trans, or delete. I don't know what to think of Christine. On one hand, she's been understanding with me and didn't freak out when I told her I'm trans. Okay, she did freak out, but it was a concern for my safety freak out, not a bigoted one. And she's the reason I'm actually finally going to transition and do it right. I mean, I've seen her, Pippa, Maria, about half a dozen other girls now, even knowing what I know now, it's hard to see. And it's also completely fucking ridiculous that supposedly none of them are/were trans. Are they even trans now? Christine says she's not, but do they wake up each morning and feel about their bodies the way I do about mine right now? Again, Christine says no, which makes no sense. Maybe I should ask Abby about it. Get a second opinion. Hi Abby, Steph here. I want to ask you some really personal questions about your gender. What's that you say? Fuck off? Okay. But that's just me looking back at what this place apparently does. Because on the other hand, Christine's first response to knowing someone about Dorley, even if I was wrong, or right in a really, really wrong way, was to kidnap them and then bring them here to this place where men are basically tortured, and she's wrapped up so tight in this place you could almost see it on her. The way she talks about how she thinks all these guys are going to be helped creeps me out. Even if sometimes I do kind of think they deserve it. I mean, they're all really bad guys. God, bad guys. That's an infantile way to talk about them. They're misogynists, women beaters, drunk drivers with fatalities to their name. So taking these guys out of society, at least until they can be reformed, a good thing, unequivocally. I guess, I don't know, what even are ethics? But this, I guess I can see that if you want to reform misogynists, then one way to do it is to make him truly understand and empathize with, become, in this case, the subject of his contempt. But it can't be the only way, is it? If Christine and Abby have both been telling the truth, maybe it is. God, I've been down here half a week and I'm already starting to be all, maybe the kidnappers have a good point. I don't know, it just rankles because it feels like it cheapens the thing I need to survive to see it used to control people. And what about Christine anyway? Getting really off topic here. And it feels wrong, somehow unfair, speculating about Christine like this when they've only had one actual conversation. If you don't count the night they met, when they kissed, when Stefan was pretending to be something he's not. He blushes at the memory, clears the screen and tries again. Today is the first day of the rest of my... Fuck it. The phone bounces as it hits the mattress, and Stefan winces when it slaps into the wall. But on retrieval and inspection, there are no scratches. Funny, when he dropped his own phone less than half a meter out of a chair, the front glass spiderwebbed into near illegibility, and the back plastic dented so hard it never closed again properly. The phones here are obviously just better. Like the mattress. He hasn't slept so well in years. He's still staring at the phone screen, trying to come up with something to say, some note to leave his future self to help him make sense of how he's feeling right now. When the thin red light strip on the edge of his ceiling, right above the bed, increases slightly in intensity to indicate morning, he squints at the phone screen as watches the clock ticks over from 0759 to 0800. The alarm on the phone immediately starts going off and playing some pop song he doesn't recognize. He quiets it and waits for whatever's going to happen next to happen, but nothing does. He half expected the rest of the lights in the room, the bedside lamp, the desk lamp by the computer, and the 4 small lights embedded in the ceiling to come on all at once, on maximum brightness. He imagined Pippa in some control room, cackling she turned a dial all the way from pitch black all the way up to a midday on Mercury. Nothing. Apparently it's up to him to decide what he does with himself next. Not something he has a great deal of experience with. He lies in the near dark a few more minutes, illuminated only by the soft red glow of the light strip and the dull green LEDs on the locks on the door, and the little dumbwaiter next to it. He taps through the quiescent phone and makes sure all his traces of his attempts at a diary are gone. Anything he saves to the thing will almost certainly be readable to Pippa and God only knows who else. The last thing he wants to do when he and Christine have gone through so much trouble to obscure his origin is to actually be himself anywhere it might be seen. So how the hell is he going to track his transition? Best he can do, he decides after a little more forethought, is to take a photograph daily in the full-length mirror on the wardrobe door and use the timestamps to track his physical changes. If Pippa confronts him about them, he can pretend to be concerned about the effects the goserelin implant on his beloved male body. As for the emotional effects, he'll just have to do his best to remember them. Far from ideal, but the best he can do, under the circumstances. He doesn't look at the picture when he takes it. Instead, he throws the phone back onto the mattress, and concentrates very hard on getting dressed. It takes a few minutes, and it requires that he steady himself on the wardrobe several times. Just a glimpse at his near-naked body in the mirror brought to bile to his throat and the old itch to his forearms. He wants to tear at his skin until it bleeds. Christine doesn't look like this. Pippa doesn't look like this. Why does he have to? Why do other people have to see him like this? He settles on pinching himself. Upper arms, a couple each side. It's far from enough, but a little control is better than none at all, and the red welts are easy to explain away should they be discovered. Stefan's probably allergic to Dorley's detergent or something. He glares at the marks as they form on his skin. The dysphoria has never been quite this bad. He busies himself hunting around for something to keep hair out of his eyes. There's no product in the dresser. He eventually slicks moisturizer through his fringe, which works well enough, and the task is sufficiently distracting that by the time it's done, the worst of the revulsion has faded. Took you 21 years to call it dysphoria, didn't it? He mutters to himself, with enough presence in mind to face away from Abby said the cameras are. Idiot. One more pinch, to be sure. Dorley has a lot of rules. Fewer as we move through the program, although even graduates are still restricted in certain ways. No contact with family or friends from before Dorley, no contact with the new boys until they become girls, unless you have explicit permission from their sponsor or RB. No deviating from a new agreed NPH or new personal history. It's up to the individual whether they want to present themselves as a trans or a cis woman once they leave, but it's a decision that can only be made once. Early in their second year, when they were all of them still fresh in their new names and identities, and only Vicky seemed to truly have a handle on things, Paige wrote, "The first rule of Force Femme Club is you do not talk about Force Femme Club on the recipe board in the kitchen." Aunt B, quite unexpectedly, loved it for a while. She talked about getting it printed on a novelty mug, but either she relented or keeps it locked away in her office. If it's bad OPSEC to list your crimes on a coffee mug, it's worse to be caught drinking out of it. Christine has a list of unofficial rules to go alongside, drawn up from observing the times the other girls got in trouble and from her own multitude of mistakes. The one enforced this morning: if you think you might be under suspicion of backsliding, put on a nice dress and stay in your room with the door open so you look like you have nothing to hide. So, Christine, who declined last night to go out, against not only all encouragement from her peers and her sponsor, but also Aunt B's explicit permission, and thus her implicit instruction, has been up since 07:30, with another of Paige's dresses on and the door and the window open, watching the late summer breeze play with the pages of her textbooks and practicing her eyeliner. She's only poked herself in the eye 3 times so far, an improvement on last time. She's wiping off her latest failure when Vicky pokes her head around the open door. "Hey Vic," Christine says and holds up her pencil. "Come to see me suck at makeup." "Just came by to see how you are," she says, and she drops her gym bag off her shoulder with a guilty grin. "And to pick up a few things. Is there anything even left in your room that's actually yours?" "The essentials," Vicky says, "and a pile of dirty plates. Don't tell anyone." Christine zippers her lips. Officially, Vicky Robinson lives in the dorms, 2 doors down from Christine. Really, she lives in a nice place off campus with her girlfriend and their friends and returns only to visit, steal food and clothes, and to sneak out estradiol for Lorna. With Vicky's room mostly empty, Paige got permission from Aunt B to get her thumb added to Vicky's lock and uses the room as like a walk-in wardrobe that just happens to have a bed and a desk in it. Handy also for Vicky and Lorna, who are both only a couple of centimeters apart from Paige in height, thus have not had to go clothes shopping for months. What Aunt B thinks of the arrangement, she hasn't said, but she wouldn't let Vicky graduate early if she didn't think that Dorley's rules, beside the obvious ones around disclosure, had become completely unnecessary for her. One of the many things about Vicky to be jealous of. Are you okay? Vicky says, stepping over her gym bag and perching next to Christine on the bed. Yeah, Vic, I'm pretty okay. Only pretty okay? Christine makes herself look away, because the shape Vicky's lips form when she says pretty is not something she can witness and remain 100% on task afterwards. Dira and Paige had like a mini intervention last night. Aunt Bee's been making comments about my continued feminine development. Oh, Vicky says, oh crap, Tina. I mean, it's okay, kind of. We're not at drastic steps just yet, but I'm behind everyone else. Not just you and Paige, everyone. Even Jodie's bloody my immortal ass fashion sense is more developed than mine. I've been officially noticed. Is that why you're dressed up this morning? Christine nods and leans back on the bed, inviting inspection to try and stop her heart from fluttering. Vicky Robinson is looking at her. What do you think? She asks. Vicky laughs. I think when you bite your lip like that, you could have anyone you want. Christine swallows. Can almost feel the Adam's apple and what she once had bobbing in her throat. I mean, about the dress. She billows out the fabric around her thighs and kicks her legs lightly. It's a shortish dress, and Christine's quietly proud of her legs. Comfort isn't the only reason she habitually wears shorts. It looks lovely on you, Vicky says. Vicky and Christine have never kissed, never touched each other except platonically. As far as Christine knows, Vicky's never done anything with anyone from their intake, choosing instead to wait until she could go out and meet someone healthy and normal from the outside world. It probably had something to do with how quickly she took to the program. By the time Christine and Paige were indulging in faltering experiments in Hornley and strangely adolescent denial, I'm a straight guy, Paige had said, although that wasn't yet her name, and so are you, but if we let ourselves forget about what we know about each other for just a few minutes... Vicky had already booked her facial surgery, persuaded her sponsor to let her name herself, and had been allowed up to the kitchen to meet the second and third years at least a dozen times. Difficult not to dwell on possibilities, though, when a beautiful woman says you look lovely. Christine says, and marvels briefly at her own eloquence before regaining full control of her mouth and continuing. Thank you. Paige picked it, but I put it on. I mean, she brought a bunch of clothes around. She flails an arm at the pile. But it was me who decided, and hey, I like green today. She touches the back of her hand to a hot cheek and looks away. Sorry, I'm an idiot, and now I'm embarrassed. Vicky puts a hand on Christine's knee. Don't be, you're beautiful, and you should be confident too. Christine picks up the eyeliner pencil again and works it between her fingers. Working on that. You want some help? It's tempting, but I can't. Christine drops it back on the bed and blows a strand of hair out of her eyes. I got help all through second year. That's why I still suck. I never learned. Well, if you need to borrow anything, my door's always open, Vicky scowls. Literally, Paige never locks it. You know, I might take you up on that. Can I give you some advice? Vicky says, removing her hand and lowering Christine's heartbeat out of the danger zone. Aunt B likes effort. Results are best, obviously, but trying and getting halfway there, almost as good. All she'll need to see, at least for now, is more variety in your clothes and a spot of makeup. A bit of eyeshadow, maybe. You don't need to worry about eyeliner that could kill a man just yet. She grins and pokes Christine in the hip. And dresses like this? Good choice. Christine sighs. Gonna miss my shorts. Vicky laughs and hugs her. I won't. Fending her off, Christine says, just eyeshadow? For now. And maybe a bit of lip gloss. But practice everything. Every day. Do a full face every morning. You don't have to keep it on through the day if you do it before you shower. And it doesn't matter if you look like an idiot if you wash it straight off. And here I thought I was just almost getting away with eyeshadow. It's what I did, and it worked out for me. Think it will for you too. Better than Paige's approach, which was to become an expert in every makeup tool, type and tool individually, with hours of YouTube tutorial and written guidelines and whole evenings dedicated to, say, lip liner. You never saw how silly I looked every morning for those first few months of our second year. Every week, I'd pick a look out of a magazine, or off of Instagram, or anywhere, just something I'd like, and I'd spend an hour each morning trying to replicate it. By the end of each week, I'd have it, or I'd be close enough. Christine is safe from having to point out the flaw in Vicky's idea that she is Vicky and Christine is, regrettably, merely Christine, by an interruption. It's good advice, says Aunt B from the door. Aunt B, Christine says, feeling like she's talking too loud but unable to hear herself properly over the rushing in her ears. Hi. Good morning, Christine. Victoria. Hey, Vicky says with a smile. Leave you two alone, shall I? She stands, squeezes Christine's shoulder, and retrieves her bag from the floor. Oh, she adds, Lorna and I are going to a protest this afternoon. Want to come? She's missed you and she's given a speech, so you can make up for last night and support her at the same time. Oh, Christine says, sure. Once I'm done with classes after lunch. Who or what are we protesting? Professor Frost, Vicky says. That's okay, Aunt Bee? Vicky's not in the program anymore and doesn't need permission to do anything, but Christine is and does, and Aunt Bee grants it with a nod. All program members, once they are judged to look different enough from their old selves that no one who knew them before would recognize them, are cleared for social media. Paige was pleased to get her clearance before anyone else still in the program, months before Christine, seeing it as proof that her old self was so buried that not even her own mother could find him, and as a tacit approval to begin spamming Instagram and accumulating industry contacts. And Christine is no exception, but protests where one might be filmed saying or doing something particularly notable are a special case. So is Professor Frost. Feel free to ruin her day, Aunt Bee says, smiling. Aunt Bee reserves a particular hatred for Professor Catherine Oh Do Call Me Cat Frost, author of Gender Dysphoria, the Psychological and Physiological Mutilation of Our Children, and Christine's never quite decided if it comes from allyship, personal affront, or the fact that the quality of Professor Frost's published writing is considerably more mediocre than her ascendant media stardom might imply. Months ago, when Professor Frost's book, her supposed book, Aunt Bee had howled, it contains many of the attributes of a book. It has a front and back covers, paper in between, binding, even endorsements from academics who should know better, but lacks the quintessential book feature that separates books from bricks. Insight first landed on shop shelves. Christine set up a search alert for the word Professor Frost and disappeared, hoping to get out in front of any difficulties Dorley might experience if Aunt Bee ever followed through on her invective and found the spotlight-hungry professor a new home in their basement. Thanks, Aunt Bee, Vicky says, and throws a quick wave to Christine. 3:00, Tina, she shouts from the hallway, outside the anthill. Aunt Bee shuts the door behind her, enclosing them both in a space that only ever feels small to Christine when she's alone in it with a woman who is still, technically, her captor. Bee settles on the little sofa, and on the far side of the room, on the bed from the bed and farthest from the door, is it reading too much into think of that as a deliberate decision to put Christine at ease, to encourage her to feel like she can leave if she really has to? How are you feeling, Christine? Aunt Bee says. Easy questions first, then. Good, I finally got some sleep. So I see, Aunt Bee says with a smile. You're getting along with your studies? To Christine's confused frown, she adds, Yes, I know we talked about that the other day, but that was routine, an inspection. This is, I assure you, off the record. I just want to talk. I'm enjoying linguistics, Christine says, nodding, still confused. It's more interesting than I expected. I can see myself finding a career in the field, I think. Once you've graduated from our program, Aunt Bee says, I think we may permit you to indulge your computing interests, if you would like. Some elective modules, perhaps? Oh, thank you, Aunt Bee, but I'm not sure I would choose to. I don't think it would be a good idea. I see. You believe you might find yourself open to temptation once more? No, Christine says quickly, that she might even think about hurting people that way again. The very idea is an insult to everything she's become. She grips the bed to keep herself from shaking, feels the pressure of her whole body in her knuckles. I apologize, Aunt Bee says. A necessary question. I'm not him anymore, Aunt Bee, Christine says, losing control of her voice. Not just because I don't look or sound like him, she pauses. She continues, pausing for breath every few words, but because he's gone, and I don't want him back, and he's not in danger of coming back. Returning to that place would bring up bad memories, that's all. She pushes against the bed frame and empties her lungs, slowly, carefully. When I've graduated, from Saints, not from the program, I might look into it elsewhere, but not here. Sorry. You've done no wrong, Christine, Aunt Bee says. I apologize again. I should not have asked. In fact, she shifts her weight on the sofa, leans forward. When Indira came to see me last night, asked me to grant you some time to work on yourself at your own pace. A request I am minded to honor, especially in light of your recent conversation with Victoria. I took the opportunity to ruminate. Oh no, Christine has time to think before Aunt Bee continues. And I realized we haven't really touched base, have we, you and I? You were, in every sense, a typical product of our program. You were angry and bitter in all the ways I expect, rebellious in all the ways I expect, and ultimately compliant in all the ways I expect, and thus unmemorable to someone like me, who has seen many dozens of young women bloom. Even for your intake, you were apparently unremarkable. Paige fought me harder. Victoria flowered considerably earlier. Yasmin acquiesced more quietly, but prefers to have as little to do with the rest of you as she can. She holds up a finger to forestall whatever objections Christine might have to do with her characterization of her. Christine, for her part, is struggling for words. We have engaged with each other formally at inspections and during your reviews, but Christine, I don't know you, and that's entirely my failing. Aunt B, no, Christine says, following her instincts, all of which are screaming at her to try to contradict any self-deprecation the woman attempts in her presence. I want to know you, Aunt B presses on. And I want to know how you feel about all of this. The program, me, you. And I want you to be honest. Absolutely honest. With no regard for my feelings. Christine thinks. My strongest suit, honesty. I don't know where to start. You dislike your former self, Aunt B says, with more vehemence than most of your cohort. Perhaps start there? Dislike is too weak a word, Christine says, deciding to let Aunt B have all the honesty she wants. On this subject, at least. I hate him. He hurt people. Try talking about yourself in the first person, Aunt B suggests quietly. I hurt people, Christine says, trying hard not to grit her teeth. And I know that Dira says it's because I wasn't loved. Because even my father hated me. Because he hurt my mother. And because she still chose him over me. Even after everything. And that's all true. But it's all just reasons. I was always in control. I knew what I was doing. I just told myself it didn't matter. Told myself I was going to get something back from the world. What I was owed. Christine jabs her finger into the mattress with each word. Did those things. And I didn't care who I hurt. Indira would also say that I was trapped and lonely. Also true. God, Aunt B, I was so lonely. I made my first real friends here, you know? And my first real family. I almost had to learn how to talk to people again from scratch. But again, those are excuses. I was angry and I was hurting and I made it everyone else's problem. You're not angry anymore? Christine smiles. I'm a little angry at you, she says, and a little angry at Dira for doing all those things to me. If you were given the chance, would you go back, instruct your former self to stay away from this campus, or even to refrain from your activities for a time so you wouldn't be taken? No, Christine says, absolutely not. She meets Aunt Bees for the first time since they started talking. She's still leaning forward on the sofa, chin resting lightly on her hand, looking for all the world like she gives a shit. I was hurting people, and I was only going to escalate. I've seen what happens when people like that, people like me, don't get corrected. Sooner or later, I was going to hurt someone in a way that they couldn't come back from. And God, I still worry that I already did. Defiant, and because she worries she hasn't been quite clear enough, she adds, I needed taking out of the world, erasing. You were wrong about that. You needed help. You say potato. We've covered your past, Aunt B says briskly. How do you feel about yourself now? Not bad, Christine says, ignoring the twinge of guilt where Steph is concerned. He wants to be here. Be kind to yourself, Christine. I'm someone I can be now, if you know what I mean. I do. I mean that I like who I am, Christine says before Aunt B can move on. I'm proud of myself. I'm sorry. It's just I'm someone I can be sounded so much like, oh, well, if I must, and that's not it. I'm glad to be me. Glad to be a woman. Yes. Proud to be a woman. Yes. God, Aunt B, this life, this second chance, it's a gift. It's a future. Do you mourn the man you might have grown to become? Absent your difficulties, of course. No, he's a fiction. A fantasy. Give me a moment. Christine raises a finger and Aunt B nods. When Christine continues, she takes her time, chews over every word. I can imagine a version of myself getting taken out of my life when I was a child and placed elsewhere. I can imagine him growing up, going to university, getting a job, getting married. I can even imagine if I were taken out of myself and placed into him, without complaint or inhibition, living his life, quite content. But there's no path from here to there, you know? There's no way for me, as I am now, to become him without becoming someone I no longer recognize as me. And if you were to tell me that you have impossible magic that can make it happen, I think I would refuse. Because I don't know him, and I know me. And when I let myself forget all my bullshit, all my guilt, I like me. I hope all that makes sense. It does, Aunt B says, smiling. And yet you are still angry at me. Christine snorts and grins. Well, you did cut my balls off, without permission. Would you have granted it? I definitely would not have. The orchiectomy, the castration, the mutilation, as Christine thought of it at the time, had been a turning point. A whole swathe of possibilities for her life going forward felt like they had been cut away. There was suddenly no going back, and the changes she'd seen in her body would only accelerate. She lost whole days to a depression that threatened to entirely consume her. But she recovered, with help from Vicky, who'd been awaiting with obvious and increasing impatience for them to get around to giving her the orgy, and Paige, who dealt with the loss of her testes with the same methodical thoroughness as she applied to every other aspect of their imprisonment, and eventually allowed herself to consider the other options that remained. A roadmap, which she eventually followed, seemed to sketch itself out in front of her. A common inflection point, she learned later, and not entirely a coherent one. Testosterone injections could have given her back most of what had been taken from her, but no one thinks about that in the immediate aftermath. It's too visceral, too much of a shock. It's not that the program hinges of it. There are other ways to separate part of a man from his masculinity, but it's very convenient for your sponsor if you turn out to be susceptible. Christine remembers chastising Indira for robbing her of the opportunity to have children. Remembers Dira smiling and reminding her of the comprehensive, open quotes, health tests they all had during the first few weeks underground. Christine can still have children, one day, if she chooses. And at that moment, that realization that their paths had in fact been deliberately left open for her, that it was not just about punishment, but about building a new, different, better future, was when Dira began to reach her, when the new woman started to emerge from the burnt-out husk inside her, and when a newly receptive Christine understood on an emotional level not just how much pain she'd already caused, but how much damage she'd been on a course to inflict, she would have done anything suggested to her. Her masculinity, not even a small price to pay, an irrelevance, weighed against the opportunity to throw away her old life with all of its mistakes and cruelties and start again. Masculinity had never been much help to her either way. Aunt B looks thoughtful. When Indira and I talked, we spoke about your daily presentation, and, as you know, I overheard your conversation with Victoria. At the risk of putting words in your mouth, I don't believe your reluctance to dress in a feminine manner comes from, shall we say, a masculine reticence to indulge in femininity. When someone helps you dress nicely, someone you trust like Indira or Abigail, how does it make you feel? Take your time. I like it. I really like it, actually, Aunt B. It feels like it's so different. Not just to how I was before, but how I am the rest of the time. It's not all good. I don't like attention from men. Most men, anyway. But it's quite liberating, I think. I wouldn't want to do it all the time, though. Given the choice. Sometimes I feel like I just want to wear shorts and a top. And that's not a laziness thing. That's a, I don't know, that's a me, that day thing. It feels like sometimes I want to look how I always look, but sometimes I don't, and you're frustrated that you have the skills only to fulfill the former desire and not the latter? Aunt B finishes, surprising Christine, who wasn't entirely sure how much of that she'd said aloud. Yes, Christine says, and adds with venom, I look like a fucking panto dame when I try it myself. Sorry. Don't worry, Aunt B says with a smile. Informal, remember? Just try to stay away from the C word. The confirmation that Aunt B even knows about the C word is enough of a shock to coalesce some of the Christine's scattered thoughts into approaching legibility. I hate feeling reliant on the other girls, she says, so I don't ask their help anymore, and when they offer I usually refuse. And then I feel like a fake girl surrounded by real ones. Understandable, but not insurmountable. It will take some hard work on your part, Aunt B says, but I believe you will overcome this obstacle. I trust you to pursue this in your own time and in your own way, although I recommend the approach Victoria suggested. Don't be afraid to ask for advice, and call on me should you ever need to. I will, Aunt B. She nods and adopts a grave expression. There is one more thing. This morning, before leaving my office, I looked over your file, start to finish, and I believe there's something you should know. Normally, this is information we will withhold until graduation, but I believe it will be beneficial to air it now. Okay? The women you contacted before you arrived here, the women whose testimony ultimately brought you to us, are none the worse for wear. They were reimbursed, which I think you know, mostly from what remained of your funds, and all of them are aware that your former identity is gone from the world, as you said. Two of them, in fact, expressed sorrow that your former self could not be helped before it was too late. So I believe they will be satisfied with your current status. She smiles, stands from the sofa, and crouches in front of Christine, putting herself on the same level. You are not, and will never be blameless, and the harms you inflicted were real, but they were not lasting. The women have healed and moved on. You should too. Oh God, she remembers their faces. How could she not? They're all okay, she asks, through her throat dry suddenly. They're all okay. I would suggest, in fact, if they were offered the opportunity, most or all of them would forgive you, especially in light of your reformation. Oh God. Christine loses track of the world for a while. When she returns, she almost jumps at the realization that Aunt B is sitting next to her, on the bed, exactly where Vicky sat, and has an arm around her shoulder. Christine herself is leaning her head on Aunt B's arm, and the fabric of her suit jacket is wet with Christine's tears. She pulls away, and Aunt B offers her a tissue. God, I'm so sorry, Christine says, blowing her nose and wiping her eyes. It's quite all right, Aunt B says. I thought it important that you should know. Thank you, Christine manages to say. Yes, it's good. I should know. Shit. God, I've been dreaming about them, you know. Not every night, not anymore, but for years. God, that's a weight off your mind. I hope so. Too early to tell, I guess. Indeed. I'm not, Christine starts, but can't finish, because she wants to say, I'm not bad, not anymore, but can't summon the conviction. Perhaps it will come some other day. They sit in silence for a minute or so, while Christine dries her face and collects herself, and Aunt B graciously spares her from any active attention, busying herself with emails on her phone. Eventually, when Christine is more or less recovered, Aunt B stands, and beckons Christine to stand too. Momentarily scared that another hug is approaching, Aunt B is relieved when B takes her hand and holds it between them both, almost like she's about to kiss it. I'm very proud of you, Christine, Aunt B says. I'm proud of all my girls, of course, but you are quite something. There is a thoughtfulness in you that I, to my shame, never before noticed. Thank you, Aunt B, Christine says automatically. Something inside her makes her curtsy. Embarrassing. But there is something I wish you would try to internalize. Sometimes you think too much. I can see you blushing, yet your curtsy was both appropriate and well performed. The only person who is embarrassed by it is you. I submit that this applies to more in your life than just your curtsy. Thank you, Aunt B, Christine says again, injecting more warmth into her voice. Aunt B releases her hand in the doorway, and she pauses, looks back with a smile. Smoking while on hormone replacement therapy is very bad for you. Really? Christine says innocently, and suppresses a sudden urge to cough. Is it? One of our girls, years ago now, started her habit when she moved to the second floor. For 3 months, she smoked nearly 20 a day, only to quit when, very early one morning, she woke up screaming in pain from a pain in her calf muscle that was so excruciating she could barely communicate her needs. Unable to speak properly, she rolled aside the duvet and revealed to us an area of raised flesh that she later described as being the size and shape of a Cumberland sausage. We took her to hospital immediately. Just something to think about. Aunt B can smell the smoke, lingering on last night's dress hanging up by the window. Or does she just know? The girl, was she okay? Yes, Monica was lucky. We all were. Good morning, Christine. Hey, new boy, you up? It's a male voice shouting through the door, disturbing Stefan as his amateurish search through the computer for some hidden place he could keep a diary. Yeah, he says, deliberately not shouting, though he can't stand the abrasive edge his voice takes when it gets too loud. Christine said she trained her, so maybe she can give him some tips. Not on actually developing a new voice, not yet, not while he's down here, playing at being the bad little cis boy, but perhaps there's some prep work he can do. some exercises to expand his range, anything to reduce the amount of time he has to spend listening to himself like this, anything for a crumb of progress. Whoever it is raps on the door. Come out and get your healthy breakfast. Another knock. It's part of a complete balanced diet. Stefan checks himself over quickly, with the sideways, fleeting glances in the mirror that are necessary on days like this. He hasn't done anything daft like tuck his trousers into his socks, and his hoodie doesn't look too obviously stretched from pulling the sleeves down over his hands. It's fine. He's fine. He fetches the phone from the bedside table and tries to open the door. It doesn't cooperate. He says through the door, how does this work? It's a door, the voice says. Just pull on it and watch the magic happen. Yeah, okay, not working. Did you unlock it? The light's green. Your new best friend didn't explain how it works? No, it's a door. I think she assumed I've seen them before. The voice mutters something too quiet for Stefan to hear. You see the little black square under the green light? That's a fingerprint reader. Put your finger or thumb on the reader and it will open. Stefan scanned his thumb, the now familiar ear-assaulting buzzing sound, and then clicks open a couple of centimeters. Pulling it the rest of the way reveals the two bright ceiling lights of the residential area, and Aaron, dressed similarly to Stefan, except without the hoodie, and affecting an expression of rapturous joy. See what can happen if you just believe, he says, imitating an American preacher. The urge to tell the little shit to fuck off is reasonably strong, but Abby's right. Stefan needs to make a friend, and handily, the one she advised to get him to get close to, is waiting for him right outside the door. Thanks, Stefan says. How do they know my fingerprints? Well, I'm guessing, and this is just a guess, you understand, they took them during that time you were unconscious when they brought you in. Stefan probably deserves the sarcasm. It was a stupid question. He smiles to show he's taken in good grace and asks, so what does the green light mean if it doesn't mean the door's already open? It means you can open it, but just for example, I can't. You're only actually locked in if it's red, and that's when only when your special assigned girlfriend can let you out. Red light means it's piss in a bottle time. They really expect us, to pee in a bottle when they lock us in? Aaron shrugs. Who knows? Half the fun of this place is figuring out the rules as you go along, and getting tased or only at least very heavily bitched at when you guess wrong. We've only had one lockdown so far, when Declan went digging for Nazi gold in his nasty little Nazi stomach. Wait, Declan's a Nazi? I don't know. Maybe. Seems like the type. Long goose-stepping legs, tendency towards sudden and irrational acts of violence. Does it matter? Yeah, kind of. Don't talk to him then. I don't. If I can avoid it. He's a fucking weirdo anyway. But my point, he does the whole belly button fandango, and they take him away to get him patched up. Probably bang him around a little too. I mean, I would. He mimes slapping the air in front of him and says, "Stop being a weird little dick," in time with the slaps. They took him away so quick I didn't even get to see the wound. Anyway, we're only in lockdown for like an hour or so, and the only one who actually did piss in a bottle was Adam, and he probably does that all the time anyway, to cleanse himself in the eyes of the Lord. Oh, he adds, pointing at Stefan's phone. Put that in your pocket and leave it in your room next time, or they'll take it away. Common room's all about socializing. Okay, Stefan says, pocketing it. Why? Why do they want us to socialize? Aaron says, pushing on the double doors in the dining room and guiding them to the seats near the entrance. On the table, there's a box of Weetabix, some oat milk, and a pile of plastic spoons. Aaron should be paying attention. They're trying to rehabilitate us, get us all together in one room and waggle our dicks at each other for a couple of weeks until we're all good boys, just like boarding school. You went to boarding school, Stefan asks, frowning. You're thinking, you didn't sound like a posh lad, aren't you? Yeah, Stefan admits, Weetabixing one of the plastic bowls. Dad got his business bought. Suddenly we're rolling in money. Suddenly it's too busy for me and Mum. Suddenly we're moving from a two up, two down to a big new house and a big new town, and I'm being sent off to a big new school where all the Hooray Henrys and chinless Charlies go to learn how to tie their shoes and spell their names with that smiley faces and the O's and run the country. And don't they have fun in a new Target? Gosh, that was a glorious 4 years. Believe it or not, I think this place is actually better. It's warmer than the coal shed the posh boys like to lock me in, and there are some hot women to look at, even if they all have tasers and hate me. I'm sorry, Stefan says. That sounds awful. Aw, did I tug at your heartstrings? Do I hear a little violin playing? If I want your pity, I'll ask for it. That's empathy, not pity. That's just pity with more letters and a fucking viral TikTok channel. Aaron says, stabbing his breakfast with a plastic spoon and not making a dent. Inspiring videos of girls with too much money crying down breaking when they think about three-legged cats in the coming climate apocalypse. Is he whining again? Will says from the other end of the table. He and Adam are the only others in the room, carrying on the same variety of murmured arguments Stefan saw yesterday. Possibly the same argument. Stefan needs to make his decision. If he's going to befriend someone, and he has to befriend someone, or he might end up like Declan's belly, then it has to be one of the three men in this room. The other ones, based on his limited observation and Aaron's narration, are each some combination of unpredictable, violent, or apathetic, none of which seem useful to Stefan right now. And of the ones who remain, Adam seems to believe in some strange stuff. And Stefan spent 2 hours in total in Will's presence and has already been called a homo. Better the devil you could fold up and put under your arm. Why do you care? He says to Will, affecting a sneer, which comes across easily enough. I'm talking to him, not you. Not the most ringing endorsement of his conversation with Aaron. Baby steps. I don't care, Will says, matching Stefan's contempt and returning to whatever he's talking about with Adam. Demons, or being a massive homophobe and how cool that is, or something. Idiot, Stefan mutters and catches Aaron looking at him strangely for a moment before the boy returns to his stubborn breakfast. So, Aaron says, around a mouthful of dry Weetabix, ready to tell me your crimes yet? Are you? I feel like you'll judge me. Will you judge me? Yeah, probably, Stefan admits. Ha, you really are like Raph. He judges me a lot too. But I'm like 70 to 80% certain he's knocked a bunch of women around, which is way more extreme than my thing. Except getting to admit that is like trying to pull Gossifel implants out of Declan's stomach. It's Gossifel, you fucking imbecile, Will shouts from the other end of the table. You're doing that on purpose, aren't you? Stefan whispers. Aaron replies with a finger to his lips. Shh, watch. Stefan looks back over, and Adam puts a hand on Will's wrist to quiet him, and Will waits a second before shaking it off. Adam looks put out for a moment, but rests his hand on the table next to Will's, just centimeters apart. The conversation continues. What do you think? Aaron says quietly. Closet cases? Or just really, really repressed? Adam's from this freaky Christian sect, the New Church of something or other, and William is just truly a massive wanker. The idea that all homophobes are closeted gay people is just a myth, Stefan says. Couple big-name assholes getting exposed doesn't make them pattern. Whatever. I think they want to touch dicks. He slaps his hands against each other a few times. That's not how gay men have sex, Aaron. Sounds fun, though, right? Aaron says, grinning, and then adds, boarding school, by way of explanation, and shovels more dry Weetabix into his mouth. Why even put milk on? Won't it make it easier to eat? It's oat milk, and this is Weetabix. I won't pour oats onto oats. That's perverse. Weetabix is made of wheat, Aaron. It's in the name. There's even an oat version. It's called Oatbix. Oh, never mind then. Don't tell Will I said that. I heard, idiot, Will says. I wasn't going to dignify it with a correction. Some things are just too stupid to bother with. Aaron shows Will his middle finger and turns back to Stefan. So, how was your first evening at Hotel Feminazi? Relaxing, Stefan says, to be annoying. Well, good. You're going to be here a while. What can I expect from this place? You know, day to day. Aaron adds milk to his bowl as he talks. Boredom? If you're down on your masturbation quota for the last decade, this is a good chance to, you know, he rubs a near-closed fist up and down the handle of his plastic spoon. Catch up. It's a shame Maria took away my Fitbit, or I could make my steps at the same time. They get judgy about the sticky sheets, though, so you may want to nominate a sock to be a new bedtime pal. What, they just leave you alone all day? Mostly. I know, I was hoping for more too, because Maria's opening speech to me was highly enjoyable as far as failed attempts to make me feel guilty go. But there's been nothing since. Maybe they're all hoping we resort to cannibalism just for something to do. It'd make a change from Weetabix. So, what do? You don't listen, do you? Aaron says with his mouth full. You wank. You watch some TV. You wank some more. Sooner or later, you get big red angry sores in your dick and you give the wanking a rest for, I don't know, the full length of a movie. He pushes his bowl aside. Oat milk on Weetabix is fucking disgusting. Come on, let's go watch some TV and we can turn away from each other and be very quiet and respectful of each other's privacy for, say, 5 minutes. The Anthill. A late 90s lecture theatre complex built as part of the campus expansion into its then newly acquired lakeside land, in the heart of Saint's new campus within a campus, an architectural marvel of interlocking brown domes and circular green skylights that has, since shortly after opening to the student population, only been known as the Arthur Nathan Turner Halls on paper only. Arthur Nathan Turner himself was reportedly not happy with the nickname, but it expired before he could remove the Royal College from his will. Presumably, he would have had much to say about the Saint's quarterly cultural newsletter, which since 2004 has been titled News from the Anthill. Christine's seen the anthill from above, via drone camera, and she thinks, as nicknames go, it could have gone worse. Teeny, poking out above a sea of student faces, an arm wearing a beaded bracelet that matches Christine's, so she heads for it, and gets engulfed by Indira and her sign. It reads, "Protect trans kids," and is almost as big as she is. "Hey, Dira," Christine says, accepting her embrace. "I didn't bring a sign. Is that okay?" "You can yell, right?" Vicky says, joining in on the hug from another angle. Christine, in the scrum, manages to nod. "Then that's fine." "So glad you could make it," Indira says, squeezing hard. "You feeling okay? You got some sleep?" "I'm good. Aunt B came to see me." Vicky said, "How did it go?" "Pretty good, actually," Christine says, as the three of them disentangle themselves. "She put my mind at rest about a few things, and endorsed Vicky's suggestion on how to proceed with..." Christine hurriedly edits what she's about to say, remembering just in time she's in mixed company, i.e., people who came about their current gender in one of the more usual fashions. "You know, my thing that I need to get better at." Indira squeals and kisses Christine on the cheek. "Proud of you," she says, as she steps back. "Thanks, sis," Christine says, and they trail their hands against each other's for a moment. "Hi, Christine," Lorna says, and Christine looks around to see her standing next to Vicky, nervously playing with a much smaller sign. She's changed a lot. Where once she was all angles, now she's filled out. She doesn't look as lost as she used to in clothes that, yes, have definitely been stolen from Paige's second wardrobe. She's become strikingly beautiful, a good match for Vicky. "Hi, Christine." "Hi," Christine says, stepping closer so she doesn't have to shout. "Wanted to ask you something, actually." "Maybe later," Lorna says, pointing at a picnic table with a couple of people carrying over. "Doing a speech soon. I'm kind of nervous, but I'll be back down after. Then we're going to the SU when the protest runs down." "Perfect," Christine says. "Good luck with your speech. You'll be amazing." She turns back to Indira and asks, "When does the professor get here?" "About 5 minutes, supposedly. But people are saying she might not show." "That might be preferable. Professor Frost's public appearances are generally heralded by a flock of middle-aged busybodies whose favourite trick is to point their phone cameras at the trousers and skirts of all the women in a crowd of protesters and look for the folds in the fabric they can draw red circles around and claim on social media are definitely, totally, 100% positively erect penises, and that's not something Christine wants associated with her own personal crotch. Self-consciously, she swings her shoulder bag from her side to her front, just in case. Her trepidation doesn't last long. The energy of the crowd is undeniable, and Christine finds herself buoyed up by it. She joins in a couple of chants, links elbows with Indira and Lorna, and excitedly greets Ren and Nalia, who notice her from across the way and unwisely get within range of Indira's hugging arm. They introduce each other around, and they all get caught up in loud cheers for Lorna, who clambers up onto the picnic table in front of the crowd and accepts a microphone from someone with rainbow fingernails. "Thank you, everyone," Lorna says and winces as the microphone feeds back. "So happy to see you all here today. And we all know why we're here. Professor Catherine Frost." She pauses for booze, then opens up a script on her phone and starts her speech. "There was a time when Saints University used to stand up for the truth." "Isn't she fantastic?" Vicky stage whispers in Christine's ear. "She's amazing. I'm gonna marry her, you know." "Really?" "She doesn't know it yet, but I do." "I know it. She's perfect, Tina. I can't imagine ever wanting anyone else." Christine lets her heart squeeze, just a little, before she replies. "I'm really happy for you," she says, with all the warmth she genuinely feels. It's not that she's jealous of Lorna or Vicky personally, for all that they are both breathtaking, but she longs to have that kind of connection with someone. Vicky bumps shoulders with her to say thanks. "Oh," and she adds, "if you're serious about coming out next time, we have something planned." "I am." "Good. She's got a date for FFS and we're celebrating." "Oh, that's fantastic." "I don't think she needs it, but I've stopped telling her that. She got kind of upset with me." Christine thinks of Steph in the basement, asking why she should put up with anything less than what Christine was given. "Yes," she says, "I think I get why." Welcome to Trans Youth UK, not affiliated with the Egg Society of Great Britain. All the usual consensus rules apply. Click here for server rules. Obey them or be gone. There are no stupid questions, only stupid answers. Please refrain from giving stupid answers. Message Diamond in the Ralph for moderation. Message Gaybot3, the bottoming, for automated server functions. Christine, hi, far and away. Welcome, quite contrary. Hiya, distilled. Who are you? Girl Alex. You're so rude, Penny. Wow. Hi, Christine. Welcome to the server. Christine, before I should say, I'm not here for me. A trans friend of mine, my friend's girlfriend, she gave me the invite because, well, it's complicated. I've made a new friend, and she's a trans girl just starting out, and she's in a hostile environment that she can't leave, and I want to know what I can do to support her. Also, I've had 2 drinks. I'm not drunk, but if I typo, it's the drinks. I'm a very good typist normally. Okay. First things first, the server is private, both for reasons of safety and comfort. You are, of course, welcome here, but we don't advertise this place for a reason. Understood. I'm good at secrets. Oh yeah? Name 5. Girl Alex. Please ignore them. They can't help themselves. Christine. Understood. Cicada. Hey all, can't stay. Just saying, I know Christine. I gave the invite. I also bought her the drinks. She lived with Vicky, I think, for 2 years, and she's really good people and super sweet, and Penny, if you're mean to her, I will fight you. Gotta go, bye. Distilled. Well, okay. Guess you're vouched for then. Also, I can't be mean to you, I guess. I'll be double mean to Alex. Get ready, bitch. I'm gonna make so much fun of your terrible boyfriend. Girl Alex. Can anyone hear that sort of high-pitched screeching sound? Like a really loud but dumb bird coming from the Nottingham area? Distilled. I'm getting a headache. Cicada. The protest went really well. I'll post pictures later and circle Christine for you. I drew the trans flags on her cheeks, so you'll recognize her anyway. Okay, bye. But for real this time. Christine. Oh no, there are pictures? Got it. You really have trans flags on your cheeks? Christine. I do. They won't rub off, so I guess they're part of me forever. Distilled. You're one of us now. You've been trans against your will. Yes. What would you like to know, Christine? Between us, we have quite a lot of experience at being trans in hostile environments. Understatement. I don't know. It's just like, okay, she's only come out to me and my friend recently, and she wants to keep it that way for now. And she lives with a bunch of guys who are really not very nice. Family? Other students. Like in a dorm then. It's definitely a dorm type situation, yes. 7 boys. Youngest is 19, oldest is 24. She's 21. They're all kind of dickheads. Feel like that's really not a strong enough word. They're all pretty much unpleasant people. It's not only an environment in which she can't come out, it's an environment where she can't afford to appear, I don't know, weak, unmasculine. There's a sort of low-grade hostility from them all the time, and a couple of guys who might opportunistically hurt her if she doesn't act right, or if they just get bored enough, honestly. The long, dark changing room of the soul. Exactly. There's actually communal showers, so it's even more apt than you think. You're describing a fairly harsh environment, not an unfamiliar one though. How can I support her? The more I think about it, the more worried about her I am. Like, I can't imagine spending any time down there myself, and I'm not in her situation. Like, I think it's going to be triggering as hell to be in that environment with those guys. Quite contrary. Maybe, maybe not. I can only speak for myself, but I found it hardest being among girls. With girls, I'm made very, very aware of what I don't have. The way they move, the way they talk, the way they are with each other. There's a community I'm completely locked out of. Sometimes it can be hard to even look at them. With boys, I can switch off. It's not pleasant. Actually, it's horrible. But it's manageable. It doesn't hurt to be around them unless they physically actually hurt me. Around boys, it's like nothing matters. You do the boy act until you don't have to anymore. Simple. Around girls, it's like the volume's turned all the way up and everything matters way too much. I think the big problem is going to be, how does she find the her inside her when she's had to be him all day? I think that's where she's going to need the help. Because that's my problem. I'm always him. Never her. Not anymore. And it's like this disease inside me, and it keeps getting worse, and it's never even safe for me to address the symptoms. It's getting hard to remember what her was even like. I'm hugging you, Mary. As am I. I'm waving respectfully. Sorry, that mostly became about my thing. Christine. No, it's actually very applicable. And I'm really sorry that it has to be your life for the moment. Does your friend have somewhere private she can be herself? Perhaps with your help? No, she is, in every sense of the word, trapped. She can't dress up or go out as herself or anything. I don't know if that's important. Is that important? It can be helpful. Shit. If you and your friend are the only people who know her, maybe the best thing you can do for now is talk to her. Be available to her. Be someone she doesn't have to keep secrets from. That's why I come here. There's no one like that in my life otherwise. We can get her an invite code for here if she's having other trans people to talk to or help. It would, probably, but she can't get online like that. Then it does seem like she's going to have to rely on you. Does she have plans for her transition? Does she need financial help? Between us, we can boost GoFundMe's pretty hard. No, that's all covered. It's a bit of a weird situation, but thanks. What I'm getting from this is that what she needs is emotional support more than I guess anything I can physically do, if that makes sense. It does, but if you can think of anything you can physically do, definitely do it. If you can find her a way to wear affirming clothes, do it. If you can hand her bits of makeup if that's what she wants, do it. Even if she has to hide it and only use it rarely, it can help. And if you care, give her something so she knows you care. It doesn't have to be anything physical, that's good if you can, if she has somewhere safe to keep it. But if her environment really is that hostile, give her a totem. Something to look at, something to think about or look forward to. A beacon. Take it from me, it can make all the difference. Listen to her, talk to her, be a friend. Remind her that it won't always be the way it is. Sometimes hope is just enough. Christine, thank you everyone. Girl Alex, good luck. And do point her our way if there's ever a chance she can get online. I will. If it's okay, I'd like to stay on the server for a while, in case you have any questions. I'll give you the role of cis ally then. You'll be our first. Thanks. Gonna go talk to my friend. Christine. Hi, Steph. Sorry I didn't say hi before. Been kinda knackered out. Oh, it's completely okay. I've been very busy, making friends with terrible people. Getting good at suppressing the urge to throw up just from association. I'm fine. Jesus, Steph, was it that bad? Actually, it was mostly boring, and sort of morally reprehensible. Yeah, that's kind of our thing. No, I mean from my end. Abby suggested it'd be safest to make a friend, so I've been making a friend. Wish I knew what he did, because I feel weird cozying up to a guy and I don't know why he's here. Abby said he wasn't violent, but that's all I know. I can find out. It'd be a huge breach of trust, right? But fuck it. Which one are you talking to? Aaron? Oh, I know that one off the top of my head. He's Maria's boy. She complains about how annoying he is. It's dick pics. That's what he did. Like a barrage of dick pics. And sexual harassment as well. Had a particular thing for a girl from one of his lectures. Forgot to anonymize his shit properly one time. So put his name to like a dozen pictures of a scrawny little incel peen. So he brought him in. I keep being surprised at the level of guy you bring in. Dick pics and sexual harassment. They're really bad, but surely there are channels. Are they really a kidnapping matter? Little shit's got rich parents, and he was warned. A lot. Kept it up anyway. Aunt B's opinion on that is, it's only a matter of time before that type of behavior, left unchecked, degrades from sexual harassment to sexual assault. And I've seen proof of that in the records. We haven't always brought in that sort of guy. Dorley has ebbed and flowed in its recruitment methods over the years. Recruitment? That's a bloodless word for it, lol. Or whatever you want to call it then. I've seen it when guys like that get to grow up. They mostly don't change. And that's what they turn into. They hurt women, Steph. We stop that. I forget you're a true believer. Sometimes I do too. Guess there's one thing to understand about me is that this place, it's my normal. It's the baseline from which I judge everything else. And this place is, I'm sure you've noticed by now, fucking bananas. Yeah, I noticed a bit. How you doing, Steph? I mean, I'm not enjoying myself. Honestly, I don't know. This place is fucked up, but fucked up is my normal. I'm used to it. I think I'm just impatient to actually start changing, you know? I know what I want. I know how I'm gonna get it. Now I'm just waiting. Can we not just sound the force femme alarm and have Pippa and Maria's break out the scalpels? I was having mixed feelings about what you're going to do to these guys, and I suppose I still am. But if you offered me a pussy tomorrow, I'd feed them all to a wood chipper feet first. Is that bad? I actually kind of get it. Vicky wanted nothing more than to race through the whole thing. She was so impatient, she even managed to hurry us along with her a little bit. Glad she didn't feed us to the wood chipper. I mean, me too. Then you wouldn't have been around to kidnap me. I still don't get why you're not freaking out all the time about what was done to you. And I absolutely can't imagine Aaron or Will becoming completely normal-seeming women like you. It's fucking out of this world, Christine. I'm normal-seeming? Actually, you're kind of weird. Not a bad kind of weird. Mostly not. Anyway, you're probably the most interesting person I've ever met. I'm in a good mood, so I'm taking that as a compliment. Go for it. Then, thank you. Look, I want to try and make all this easier for you. Why? Guilt? But also, I like you, Steph. You say I'm interesting. You refuse to be unkidnapped. You're pretty interesting yourself. So what I'm saying is, I'm making myself available. You can talk to me. Not just about the program or anything, but about everything. If you need to vent, if you've had a bad day, worse than normal, down there, I mean, or if you're feeling especially dysphoric, you can talk to me. Only on here for the most part. Difficult for me to get down there a lot. There is something, actually. I want to track my transition, but I'm guessing my phone and things are all pretty closely monitored. Everything but the logs between you, me, and you and Abby. Can I use you as, I guess, a sort of transition journal? If I write things out here I want to remember, maybe with pictures, maybe you can save it somewhere safe? I can absolutely do that. I've made a hidden folder just for that. And I know for a fact we didn't strip the built-in zip function out of the phones we gave you. So put your pictures and your diary stuff in a zip file, password protect it, upload it to me through here, delete your original. I won't even be able to look without the password. Okay, well I definitely could crack it, but I promise I won't. You'll have a private diary, saved on my computer instead of yours. And anytime you want something out of it, I can send you the zips. Thanks. Like, really thanks. That's actually a huge relief. I was just going to take pictures and rely on the timestamps, which sucks, but wait, even if I delete stuff, won't they know? Probably not. We're not very sophisticated, and there aren't that many of us, really. There's no active monitoring on your devices, just file dumps and stuff. Make sure you don't have anything saved on your phone or computer you don't want them to see by midnight each night, and you're fine. Right, thank you. God, thank you. This is earning back a lot of karma points from when you kidnapped me. If you want to help in other ways, you can keep me company. Remind me there are normal people in the world. I qualify as normal to you? Well, no, but you're not like them. I used the word empathy in front of Aaron. He looked like I just put a trout on my top. Well, like I said, anytime you want to talk. And I'm not like actually in a lecture or something. I'm here. Cool. Christine, I can do this, can't I? I can be a girl, can't I? Fuck yes you can, Steph. I did it and I was a complete basket case. Literally all my friends did it. You can do it too. And Abby and me, we're going to help you any way we can. You've got this. Right. Thanks. Seriously, Christine. I just think it's just a whole lot of concrete down here and nothing to look up at arseholes, right? Right. So tell me about the other guys. What are they in for? I don't actually have that in front of me. I can go find out if you like. No, it's not important. I already know I hate their fucking guts. And the worst Aaron's going to do is send me dick pics. Well, he already mentioned his dick or other people's dick about 30 times today, so I'm, prepared. Most of them will be in for the same old anyway. From what I remember from a glance at the files, a decent proportion this year have actually been physically violent, but wholly unoriginal. We still actually have physically violent people, so be careful. We only had one washout in my year, but I'm guessing with your lot, 2 to 4. Do you make bets on that up there? I refuse to answer on the grounds that it may incriminate me. Lol. I'll have to know what's original the way to end up here. Other than the way I did, I mean. Well, okay. A few years ago, we had a guy invested thousands of pounds in Durst coin, the Limp Bizkit themed cryptocurrency. The coin crashed like it was always going to, and his investment was wiped out. Apparently, he got mad and started a fight when he was telling his story, and someone at the else of the bar told him to keep on rolling, baby. You're making that up. There's no way that happened. Okay, busted. Sorry. It's fine. Lying is like the least of your crimes. True. It's actually been nice to talk to you. It really has. I didn't know how I felt about you. Is that rude to say? Probably, but I don't mind. It's hard to say I haven't earned it. It's been nice to talk to you too. Kinda want to keep talking. I'm enjoying this little island of normal. Normal-ish, anyway. But I'm tired. Got a long day tomorrow in the lady dungeon. Need my beauty sleep. Okay, sleep well, Steph. Let me know if there's anything you need. I have some tricks up my sleeve. If you need it bad enough, I can have a go. I'll remember. Thanks. Good night, Christine.